she was just 13 years old, an ordinary 8th grader living in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. Her name was Alicia Kozakiewicz. The youngest in a loving, middle-class family, Alicia was shy but bright, with a gentle personality and a close bond with her parents and older brother. It was the early 2000s, the dawn of the internet age. Back then, home computers and chat rooms were exciting new worlds. Parents didn't yet understand the hidden dangers, and for Alicia's mom and dad, letting her explore online felt harmless. They thought it was just another way for their daughter to play, learn, and connect with friends. But behind the glow of the computer screen, danger was waiting. In those anonymous chat rooms, Alicia thought she had found a new friend, a boy around her age, someone funny and kind, someone she could trust with her secrets. To a young teenager, it felt safe, even special. But the truth was far darker. On the other side of the screen wasn't a boy at all. It was 38-year-old man, a predator carefully grooming her, building her trust and waiting for the right moment to strike. And soon, Alicia would walk out her front door and into a nightmare. Years later, Alicia herself would look back and say, "I never imagined that danger could be just one click away." But it was. And it found me. This is the true story of Alicia Kozakiewicz, the girl who survived one of America's first internet grooming abductions. Subscribe to True Dark Chapter so more of these stories can be told and more lives protected. In 2001, the internet felt like an unexplored frontier. Chat rooms, instant messaging, and online forums were the new hangout spots for kids and teens. To parents, it looked harmless, words on a screen, nothing more. But to predators, it was a hunting ground. For Alicia Kozakiewicz, it began like it did for so many teens of that time. Out of curiosity, she would log in to teen chat rooms, typing with strangers who all claimed to be around her age. In one of those rooms, she met someone who stood out. He was funny. He listened. He told her she was special. Alicia felt like she had found a true friend, someone who understood her in ways others didn't. But this boy wasn't a boy at all. He was Scott Tyree, a 38-year-old man from Herndon, Virginia, and for months he was patient, very patient. He didn't rush. Instead, he played the long game, the classic strategy of a predator. He showered Alicia with attention, slowly asking about her life, her family, her fears. He learned her vulnerabilities, the moments when she felt alone, or misunderstood, or just wished someone cared. And then he exploited them. He convinced Alicia that he was the only one who truly got her, that she could trust him more than anyone else. And eventually, he began to suggest that they should meet. At first, Alicia hesitated. She was only 13. Meeting an internet friend was risky, even in her mind, but Tyree knew exactly how to manipulate. He made it sound innocent, safe, just for a little while, just to hang out. Alicia's story happened in 2002, but do you think the internet has become safer today? Or are predators just using new apps and platforms to find kids? Is the problem with technology, or with parents not paying attention? Share your thoughts below and subscribe to uncover more dark faces of a society you think is safe. It was the evening of January 1st, 2002. While her family was at home celebrating the holiday, Alicia made a choice that would change her life forever. She slipped quietly out the front door of her Pittsburgh home. She thought she was about to meet the boy she had been talking to for months, her secret online friend. But instead of finding a teenage boy, she came face to face with Scott Tyree, a 38-year-old man, far older and far more threatening than she had ever imagined. Before she could react, Tyree ordered her into his car. Terrified, Alicia obeyed. He drove hundreds of miles across state lines until they reached his townhouse in Herndon, Virginia. Inside that townhouse was a hidden basement dungeon. a place he had prepared long before this meeting. Chains, bolts, restraints, everything ready for the victim he had been luring. And now, Alicia was that victim. The moment Alicia stepped into Scott Tyree's townhouse, her nightmare began. He led her down into a hidden basement dungeon, a space he had carefully prepared. In the center of the floor was a heavy metal bolt. Attached to it was a chain. Tyree forced Alicia down and locked the chain around her neck. She was trapped. Over the next 4 days, Alicia endured horrors no child should ever face. Tyree repeatedly abused her. Even more chilling, he live-streamed some of it online to other predators, turning her suffering into entertainment for strangers. The basement was dark and cold. The chain was short, preventing her from moving more than a few feet. Alicia was terrified, exhausted, and hopeless. Hours felt like days. Days felt like weeks. At one point, Tyree hinted that he might kill her. He told her it would be safer for him if she didn't live to tell anyone what had happened. While Alicia was chained inside that basement, far away, something unexpected was happening. Tyree had been live-streaming parts of the abuse. One of the viewers, someone who saw those horrific images, recognized Alicia. Her face matched a recent online missing child alert that was spreading across the country. That viewer made a decision that changed everything. They contacted the FBI. Immediately, agents began tracing Tyree's digital footprint. Every computer leaves a trail, an IP address, and, they quickly tracked his to a townhouse in Herndon, Virginia. On January 4th, 2002, just 4 days after Alicia had vanished, FBI agents moved in. They surrounded the property and stormed inside. What they found was every parent's worst nightmare. In the dark basement, chained to the floor by her neck, was Alicia Kozakiewicz. She was alive, terrified, exhausted, but alive, and just hours away from being killed. Tyree was arrested on the spot. For Alicia, the nightmare had ended in the nick of time. She was rescued before it was too late. What if that one viewer had stayed silent? Would Alicia have ever been found? Will you be silent too? Just move forward without sharing your thoughts and subscribing? Or will you help us advocate by spreading these stories and exposing the dark truths hidden in our society? What Tyree meant to destroy, Alicia turned into strength. A mission that has saved countless lives, Alicia Kozakiewicz was finally safe. But survival was only the beginning of another battle, one far less visible than chains or a locked basement. When she returned home, her family was overwhelmed with relief. But Alicia herself was different. Trauma had carved itself deep into her. At just 13 years old, she had been through an ordeal no child should ever imagine. The nightmares, the flashbacks, the fear of being alone, they stayed with her long after Tyree was gone. Her parents carried their own guilt. They had only wanted to give her freedom, a chance to explore the internet like other kids her age. But in doing so, they unknowingly opened a door to a predator. Alicia's father later said the pain of realizing how easily it happened in their own home was almost unbearable. Meanwhile, Scott Tyree faced justice. In 2003, he was sentenced to 19 years and 7 months in federal prison for the kidnapping and abuse of a minor. Many believed the sentence was too light, given the horrific details. Alicia's testimony about the abuse she endured made clear the damage he had done. But the story doesn't end there. In 2019, Tyree was released early for good behavior. Imagine the shock. The man who had chained and tortured her was free again, while Alicia was still living with the scars of what he had done. Public outrage forced authorities to keep him under supervised release with GPS monitoring, but Alicia herself spoke out, warning that predators like Tyree rarely change. Instead of letting her trauma silence her, Alicia transformed it into a mission. She became one of the most powerful voices in the fight against online child exploitation. She founded the Alicia Project, working with schools, parents, and law enforcement to raise awareness about internet safety. Her advocacy helped bring about Alicia's Law, legislation that provides funding for Internet crimes against children task forces, giving police the tools they need to track down predators before they can strike. In her speeches, Alicia doesn't hold back. She reminds parents that the Internet is not a safe playground. She warns that predators are patient, manipulative, and skilled at hiding in plain sight, and she urges children to remember, if someone online ever asks you to keep a secret, that's the biggest red flag of all. Subscribe to True Dark Chapter so more of these stories can be told and more lives protected. Alicia's story proves the Internet can hide monsters, but also heroes. Stay alert, protect the vulnerable, and never ignore warning signs.